Let's talk about how to pass the Unilever first round interview. What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Ready English here with another Pass the Interview video. We break down the interview and recruitment processes for world famous companies to help you pass their interview. All our research comes from publicly available sources from candidates who have already been through the process, and our Pass the Interview videos have now been watched over 1 million times. Thank you so much for letting us serve. Today we're going to be talking about the FMCG giant, or fast moving consumer goods giant, Unilever, who have given us such wonderful products like Dove, Persil, and probably my personal favourite, Ben & Jerry's. I'm trying to think what's my favourite. Double chocolate fudge brownie, oh my God. 500 mils of double chocolate fudge brownie in bed. Just curious, what's your favourite flavour of ice cream? Anyway, back to the video. As ever, if you want more help with passing your Unilever first round interview, then please make sure that you check out our Pass the Interview pack, which is in the link down in the description below. So I'm going to be reading all the information from our research note, which we have created, which is over 50 plus pages of gold, giving you everything that you need to pass your Unilever first round interview, including sample answers and explanations to the most common question. We also have our 60-minute Pass the Interview preparation crash course, our interview success secrets masterclass, and a ton more worksheets, sample answers and walkthroughs to help you be best prepared for your upcoming interview. And it's all covered by a 60-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. So make sure you check that out in the link in the description below. Our Pass the Interview videos are broken up into 3 parts. Part number 1 is we explain the entire recruitment process, what you can expect, and how long it will take you to go from application to assessment centre and getting a job. Part number 2 is we talk about the most common questions that you could ask. These were the questions that occurred most frequently in our research, so we feel like it's reasonably likely that you're going to get asked these questions. And part number 3, we cover some other questions that we came across which we found interesting, and will help you to think about how to answer these questions, how to structure your answer, and what you should say, with the help of 1 or 2 sample answers from our Unilever research notes. So let's get started. Part number 1, the Unilever recruitment process. So candidates reported that this process would take 1 to 2 months. Stage 1 was an application and online test. There was an online application and CV screening. You then had 3 virtual tasks. You had to look at data and provide solutions to problems. Stage 2 was the interview. So if your application is successful, you'll be invited to a 1-hour interview with 2 supervisors. Then there is another interview if they need to choose between 1 or 2 candidates. That was one report. Another report was a higher view interview, where you could have 5 to 6 competency questions and situational based questions. And something that all the candidates said was make sure to research about competitors and how they differentiate themselves. And finally, there was the assessment centre, which included an interview based on a challenge, a team challenge, and then a 1-to-1 motivational interview. So that's what you can expect from the Unilever recruitment process. So let's talk about their most common questions, and we've identified 5, which we're going to go through now. Question number 1, what do you know about our company? So this is very similar to why do you want to work for this company? If you want an in-depth explanation of how to answer this question and a free worksheet, make sure you click the card up above. So when you're doing your research about why to work for this company, there are 2 things that I suggest. Number 1, everything that you need is on the company's website. Number 2, set yourself a timer for 15 minutes just so you can gather as many facts as possible. Setting a time is a really useful constraint because it means that you're not going to get stuck trying to find loads of facts or going down the internet rabbit hole. I, in fact, have a timer in my office, so I set a time to do a certain amount of work, and then once that timer goes off, then I know it's time to move on to the next thing. And I say 5 or 6 facts, but you could pick out more. The point is that you want to make sure that these facts are as unique as possible and specific to Unilever. I'm going to read you out one of the facts that we researched in our research note. So 3.4 billion people use Unilever products every day, and Unilever has a turnover of £52 billion. Now that's a pretty specific fact for Unilever, and these are the types of facts that you want to use. And as an added bonus or a bit of an extra credit, if you can pick out one of the things and relate it to yourself. So earlier on in the video, I have very quickly mentioned Ben & Jerry's and their double chocolate fudge brownie ice cream, which is one of my absolute favourites when I want to have a little bit of a guilty pleasure. So this is really relating a fact to myself, but demonstrating my knowledge about the company. So that's a good thing to do. So 15 minutes, use the company's website, about us, history, annual reports, investor relations, insights, blogs, media. There's loads of things that the company will provide you itself, but you'll have to dig a little bit more than just reading their homepage. Question number 2, why have you applied to work here? So this is very similar to the question, why do you want to do this job? Again, if you want an in-depth explanation of how to answer this question alongside a free worksheet, make sure you click the card up above. So when you're talking about why you want to work for a company or why you want to do this role, the most common mistake that I see is that people just talk about themselves. They'll be like, well, I'm really bright and I'm ambitious and I'm hardworking and I want to do this and I want to do that, and it's all about them. But actually, what are they asking you? They're basically asking you 2 things. Do you even know what you're going to do? And do you have the skills, the experience required to make sure that you would be good at doing this job? So that's how we think about answering this question. Part number 1, we're basically going to talk about these are the things that I would do day to day. So if I was part of Unilever's Future Leader program, I would go rotate through different departments. I would do this, 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 and this. Now, you might be a little bit confused because you're thinking, well, you know what I'd be doing because I'm applying for that job. But many people apply for jobs. Probably you haven't done this. I definitely have. Many people apply for jobs and they've really got no idea what they've applied to. 50 applications later and they're thinking, I've got an interview for this company, but I'm not really sure what it's about. So to make sure that you differentiate yourself from these people, including myself, then you want to just outline what you're going to be doing in the day-to-day role. The second part of this question is that you're going to want to identify the skills that are required. If you don't know what the skills and key responsibilities are for the job, then make sure you check out the job description. That's really the key place to start. A company is going to give you all the information that you need to really qualify yourself for this role in the job description. Now, if you're applying for Unilever and you're like, well, the job description is not really helpful, or it's just talking about the company, or then go and look somewhere else at a similar job description. And if they have a unique program, like quite a few of you will probably be applying for the Future Leaders program, then you might just look up, graduate management trainee or something like that. You could use a cool website like Prospects. You could just go and look at another company's job description. Some companies put more detail in, some companies put less detail in. Now, you might have a job description which has, well, you'd need to do 7,000 things and you'd need 600 skills. That's okay because you're limited by time. So just pick out 5 key responsibilities and 3 key skills. Question number 3, what is your relevant experience for this role? Now this is quite similar to question 2, and I know that some people may be watching this and thinking, well, I've never done a job like this before. I'm not really sure what to put, or should I just tell them that I don't have any relevant experience? But of course, everybody who's watching this video has relevant experience. It just depends on the category of that experience. Now, this is something again which comes back to the key skills which are required for the role. So the key skills are probably fairly usual skills like teamwork, leadership, innovation, business acumen, and so on and so forth. Now these are all things that you could have developed during your work, if you volunteered in a club or society, or potentially in your academics. Wherever it is that you have developed these skills, then you just relate that to your experience. So step number 1, outline the skills, the experiences that are laid out in the job description. Step number 2, think about where you have demonstrated that skill in the most relevant experience to the job that you're applying to. Now, of course, if you don't have any work experience, then that's fine. Then you'd use extracurriculars or volunteering. If you don't have that, that's fine. Then you'd use your academic experience. But you kind of want to work your way down through the list. But we all have transferable skills. That's exactly what they mean. Well, I've worked in a team in a group project at university, so I know that I have good teamwork skills. So I would be able to demonstrate those skills at Unilever. And you can then provide 2 or 3 really quick examples where you have actually used those skills. Providing examples is important, because if I was just to give you a list of skills, then your brain instantly will say, well, how do you know that you're good at this thing? How do you know that you've got really good teamwork skills? Well, actually, I've done 17 group projects at university. I know that I'm good at working as part of a team. Now we have proof. So it's not just your opinion, it's your experience. Question number 4, how is Unilever better than its competitors? Now I'm going to use the research note here to jump into. So I'm going to use our research note here, and I'm going to give you a little bit of insight through an explanation of how to answer this question. So how is our company better or different from our competitors? This is quite a common question for companies who are reasonably similar or in the same industry. We tend to see these most often for the big four, PwC, Deloitte, KPMG and EY. So the easiest way to answer this question is to concentrate on the specific things that a company does. So you can learn this from a website or an annual report, and then pick out some key facts and emphasize the good things that the company is doing. I say good things because often people have said to me over the years, they're like, oh, there's this bad news story, should I talk about that? Well, no one really likes bad news. No one really likes criticism. That's not really something that will be useful for you to do. So here are the types of facts that you could put out. It could be financials, it could be clients, key events, awards, unique language, white papers, history, industry news. The really important thing is you don't really need to spend too much time understanding how all of Unilever's competitors work. You just need to understand the key and unique things that Unilever does itself. Now here's a quick sneaky trick. Something that I really like doing, and I have done very often, is that I will read the CEO or the managing director's opening statement for the annual report for a publicly listed company. Why? Because they'll generally outline in 2 or 3 pages all the good stuff that company has done that year and what makes them amazing and better than any other company. So that's a really good shortcut to answering that question. Question number 5, why should we hire you for this role? So again, this is really similar to why do you want to do this job, but this is all focused on you. So this is quite a different question when we talk about in other videos, the why questions, the motivational questions, which is why this role and why you. This is very similar to your personal introduction. If you want to learn how to give a great personal introduction and answer to tell me about yourself, make sure you click the card up above. Now, this is an answer that is still tailored, and we're still working from the job description. Now think about it in the company's mind. The ideal candidate that they're going to go for is one that has the closest amount of experiences and skills to the job that is required. So when you're talking about why should you be for this role, if you had 5 skills that are listed and say, well, actually I have those skills and I can demonstrate my experience to show you that I'm not just saying that, I have proof that I have those skills. That company is much more likely to gravitate towards you rather than somebody who's just talking about themselves and all the amazing things that they've done. So again, really place keen attention to the job description, to the skills that are being asked, and to the experience that they're looking for. So here are 3 other quick questions that we thought were a bit of fun and we wanted to throw in just to learn so that you can learn how to answer them. Question number 1, how do you prioritize tasks? So this is very similar to how do you multitask or how do you manage your time? Now you want to use an example using STAR, which is situation, task, action, result. Where were you? Situation. What were you doing? Task. Action. What did you do to fulfill that task? Result. What was the success that you achieved through that result? Now, most of you watching this, if you're studying, then you'll all be familiar with the whole, I've got multiple deadlines, I've got work to do, I've got societies. And if you're working, then you'll be familiar with the, I've got work to do and I've got multiple projects to do. Because very few people when they work only ever have one thing to do. Now talk me through an example of you doing that. Now maybe I would suggest that there should be at least 3 tasks or 3 things to do. So of these 3 tasks, how do you decide which one is more important? How do you manage your time? And how do you make sure that these tasks get done? Question number 2, how would you resolve a conflict in a team? Now a conflict is just a disagreement with somebody else. Now resolving a conflict, the important steps to work through with this are, well, What was the situation? What was the task that you had to do? What was the disagreement that was had? Then what did you do? Well, generally, if you want to resolve a conflict, you need to listen to the other person. You need to understand. A really important element to include in this is generally it's a lot easier to resolve a conflict if you believe that a person is coming from a positive place. Whenever you feel like a person is coming from a negative place, then this becomes an argument or kind of a giant row. But if you feel like, well, however this person is communicating, there is some positive intent there, that makes it a lot easier for you to process. And then you would try to seek a resolution. So is it conflict between multiple people? Is it just between you and another person? Understanding their point of view, where are they coming from? You may offer your opinion or some constructive suggestions to them and try and move forward towards the result. And the result is not, well, I'm right and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong. The result is we've got something, an action, a result that we need to achieve. How can we get there? Question number 3, how would you deal with a difficult colleague or stakeholder? So a difficult colleague or stakeholder, these are two different things. A stakeholder is a client, basically. A colleague is somebody that you work with. So dealing with somebody that's difficult, first of all, again, it's about understanding. It's about listening and empathizing. You know, how are they difficult? Are they just a little bit rude? Or maybe they're very stressed. Do they not take you seriously? Or maybe you need to demonstrate that you're worth taking seriously. So very often this is something that we can take back to ourselves and think, well, how can I improve my conduct? How can I improve my sense of personal responsibility? How can I understand them a bit better? How can I help them more? Now, if you have tried to help, resolve the situation, then you might seek help yourself. You may speak to a colleague, you might speak to a manager and say, listen, I'm working with Steve, I'm really finding him quite difficult. I've tried to do A, B, C and nothing's working. Do you have any suggestions for me? Is there anything that I can do? Is that really just part of his character and I just need to not take that person? And then you move towards maybe not changing that person's character, but making them easier to work with. Sometimes, people who are chaotic just need clear instructions. People who are difficult just need to be heard. People who won't give you enough time, you need to arrange a meeting much further in advance so that they have sufficient time to give to you. Guys, I hope that you have enjoyed this video about Unilever's first round interview. I really do wish you the best of luck for this interview. A lot of work and time goes into making these videos and doing this research, and it is an absolute pleasure for us to serve you. Please like this video if you have enjoyed watching it. Drop us a comment below and let us know how we did. Let us know how we can improve, how your interview went with Unilever. I do read and reply to all of the comments on our YouTube channel. And I really do wish you the best of luck wherever you are and whatever you're doing. Take care.